You know, we used to have a system that would tell us, the recording has started. I guess no such luck anymore, so here you go. And good evening, everyone. It's wonderful to have you here uh, on this lovely Tuesday evening. Go over our agenda real fast. We have our guest speaker, the renowned Dr. Janea McDonald. She's going to be talking with us about change leadership. And then we're going to do a couple of change model case study presentations. And that will be Carlos. He has a case study that he's involved with that he's going to be talking about. And he's going to relate that to how he's going to deal with that issue using Kotter's change model. And Julie is going to be discussing her case study in light of the switch three-part change framework. So I'm looking forward to all of these this evening. And then we'll talk about upcoming events. So without any further delay, wasn't that fast? We're going to introduce our guest speaker. I am not going to read this. Most speakers don't like me to read their bios for them, which is fine. But by now, you should have seen it in your note taker, and you have a very good idea of the broad spectrum of things that Dr. McDonald has done and is doing currently today. So she has a ton of experience out in the business world to talk about change leadership and some of the things that she's encountered. So she has some tips for you this evening, and we are going to let her do her thing. So Dr. Janea, I think I am to give you the ball, right? So
yeah, hold on. Let me see. I saw a thing that said I could share. Oop, let's try this.
You're just going to take the ball.
I'm gonna, that, you know me, that's what I'm doing. Okay, let's see.
Ooh, look at you. Oh, ow.
See
look
it?
At that. Yes, upstaged again.
But now I can't see all of y'all, so
well, that's kind of the price we pay, isn't it?
Okay, there we go. Y'all are back. Okay, so it worked. Good. Hello. I am Janea McDonald, and I'm so excited to be here with y'all tonight. It's kind of funny that we're here and I'm in my home office, and you can kind of see back behind me. It's probably a little bit blurry, but those are a lot of my notebooks from when I was in school, like y'all are. I have been done since 2015, and I'm holding on to all of it just in case I need it again. Lord willing, I won't. But you know, I just I'm in a little bit of a unique position, I think, because I have been where you are. So I do have my master's and my PhD from USM. And so what I'm going to do as part of this tonight, I'm going to talk about change initiatives, you know, from the organizational perspective. And then I want to take just a few minutes to get on my soapbox a little bit and give you some tips and tricks as far as being a graduate student, maybe some things that will help. One thing that I forgot to ask Dr. Kimmick, and maybe we can, and Dr. Kimmick, maybe you can tell me, but are our students PhD, all PhD, masters, or a blend of both?
I'm glad you asked that question. You're analyzing your audience, which is always a good thing to do before you go into a discussion.
Right.
So yes to both.
Yes to both. Okay. All right. So we've got both. Good. And so like I said, I did experience I was a master's student there. In fact, that is when I met Dr. Kimmick. That was quite a few years ago, and then went on to get my PhD several years later. So I just want to kind of give y'all some pointers there. But really what we're here to talk about, organizational change. And so what you will take from this class, you will, I can guarantee you will take the information that you learn in this class and be able to directly apply it, if not immediately, in the very near future. That is one of the great things about this class. And I say that with personal experience because before I took this class in 2011. I had gone through several change initiatives at that point as part of my career. And it was really cool because through that lens, I could kind of look through what we were learning and the different models that we were learning about and kind of say, oh man, let's look back at, this change initiative that I was part of. This is what we did wrong. Oh, but look, this is what we did right. And now moving forward, it's given me the opportunity to be able to say, okay, now I've got a real true framework to be able to kind of take the to-do list, if you will, when it comes to organizational change, the things that we know that really work, and be able to apply those to change initiatives that I'm a part of now. So I think what I want to do is, let's see how this will work. See if it works. Okay, so I want to talk just a little bit about planned and unplanned change, because when we talk about organizational change, and we talk about, oh, here are these 8 steps here are these 10 steps that you can follow. Wonderful. It's great that we have recipes to go by. There are lots of occasions where we can use that. We can actually go step by step by step and follow each of those. But let me introduce you to 2020, right? We could not have been prepared for all of the changes that 2020 brought in our organizations. Many of you have probably had the opportunity to work from home. That might have been new for you. I've been working from home for a number of years, but for a lot of people that was new. A lot of the clients that I work with sent everybody home, and all of those people were working from home and they had to adjust. I do training. I'm typically standing up in front of a room full of people training. We couldn't do any training, y'all. And I had a couple of clients that just said, oh gosh, Janea, we've just got to cancel everything. And I was like, well, wait a minute, let's do Zoom. Let's figure out another way to do this. And so there have been lots of instances over the past year where we've really, really had to think outside the box. I mean, here we are tonight on Teams. This class, y'all are supposed to be meeting online, but you're also supposed to have a in-person component, and that's changed. And so, just imagine how the changes that meant for your faculty, and how they had to update and really change how they were going to deliver the material to you. Constant changes, and so. We have our planned change, we have our unplanned change that we can't really plan for, unfortunately. But what I want to do tonight is kind of tell you about, you've got your models. I don't want to, one of the organizations that I work closely with, we're about to go through yet another big change. And I have said several times to our CEO, you need to read this book by John Kotter. It's called Leading Change. You need to read it. Come on, because there's such great information in it. And so I don't really want to, rehash those models for you. Y'all have plenty of that. Y'all have got 2 presentations tonight to hear a little bit more about that. But what I do want to kind of tell you about is my experience and just a couple of things that I think, no matter if it's planned or unplanned change, some things that you can do to make those change initiatives a little more easy, if you will. And I have to say, Dr. Kimmick, I have not been watching the time. I can't see my clock, so just bear with me. Because I can go on for hours. I'm not going to, but I could.
It's okay. It's okay. I can send you text or something if I need to, but you're about 11 minutes in.
Okay. All right. So just one of the big changes that change initiatives that I recently went through is that one of the organizations that I work with, if you read my bio, I work with a billboard company, Landmark Outdoor Media, in addition to my consulting company. And in August of 2019, Landmark went from 19 employees to 60. We had an acquisition. We bought another billboard company, and it was huge. I mean, that doesn't sound like a lot. Some of y'all probably work for some bigger organizations, but when you go from 19 to 60 people, that's enormous. And so The thing about it is, like, we went into it and we planned. This was not something that happened overnight. This happened over several months, and there was so much planning. You've probably heard the phrase before, due diligence. Like, we've got all this fact finding to make sure how this is going to work. How are we going to, for lack of a better phrase, smush these two companies together? How are the cultures going to work? There was so much planning that went into it, y'all. I mean, so much planning. And then you would think, okay, we've planned, we've guessed for everything. Nothing's going to surprise us. And that is very, very rarely the case. We have lots of surprises, lots and lots and lots of surprises, despite our planning. And I remember when I took this class in 2011, one of the phrases Dr. Annulus said was, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And that really, really stuck with me. And so I have just remembered that from then, since 2011. And so I think planning is critical, but I think it's also very important that you realize that you can't plan for everything. So let me just kind of tell you about just 3 things that I think really make a difference. And now that I look at them, I look like I can tell I kind of smushed them. Maybe it's a little bit more than 3, but anyway. I think one of the most important things that you can do as part of a change initiative is communicate, and then you need to communicate. A very wise woman once told me, about the time you are tired of telling somebody something is about the time they're getting it. And I think what we have to do when we are managing change in organizations is we have to over communicate, because we might feel like we are saturating and people are getting tired of hearing about the change and the way the change is going to affect them. Half the time they're not listening. So we have to tell them multiple times in multiple ways so that they understand, because change is hard, right? That is a universal truth. And so the more people know and understand why change is happening, that does make it a little bit easier. So we want to communicate. Change is often hard because we're afraid of the unknown. And the more that we hear about it and the more that we can kind of prepare, the easier it is. So with any kind of change initiative, communicate. Second, power in numbers and a top-down approach. And by that, what that means is, and this kind of goes along with building your guiding coalition based on Kotter, that you really have to have buy-in from people, because if you just have one person saying that this is something that we have to do, it's not enough. It has to be everybody saying, or at least a large group of people saying that these changes are the right things to do. And with that, it really does have to start from the top down. And so you have to have buy-in from upper level management, and then it has to filter down. Recently working with my CEO about some changes, and he was like, I want us to do this, this, and that. And I said, that's great. I think those are all great ideas, but you have to do this, this, and that too. And at first he kind of balked at me, and he came back and he was like, you know what, Janea, you are exactly right. In order to make these changes stick, in order to make this successful, they've got to see me doing it first. So you have to manage change from the top down, and then get buy-in from people. And then my third thing is to monitor the change initiatives, see if there are any changes that need to be made in the change initiatives, provide resources and recognition. That's another thing Kotter says, recognize small wins. People also have to have resources in order to make change happen. And so as the folks that are facilitating that change and help manage it, then we have to really make sure the people that have what they need in order for it to be successful. When I took this class, we had a great guest speaker, David Poe, who came in and talked about change at the University Medical Center in Jackson several years ago, and he was talking about, one of the things that really struck me is that they had the powers that be had said, hey, we're going to make all these big changes, and about a year after that, after the changes were instituted, they had lost probably 50% of their upper level management, because those folks just did not like those changes. So that kind of ties in with the buy-in. But provide the resources that people need, provide the recognition. Not everybody is going to survive change. When we have big changes in organizations, that's one of the things that you have to remember. Some people aren't cut out for it. Some people are really stuck in their ways. And as the person who's kind of facilitating that organizational change, again, you have to kind of figure that out, be okay with that, but still try to give people what they need in order to make it successful. So I mentioned that we had, the one acquisition in August of 2019, and we're coming up. Our CEO is ready for another one, and so we're all a little gun shy because it's not easy to kind of go through that process. But I feel like having gone through it once and what I know about successful change initiatives, I think that we're going to be well equipped to be able to make it successful. That's what I'll say, to make it a successful acquisition, to make it a successful change. And I am the director of human capital. And so my job is making sure that the people are taken care of. So I really love that aspect of it. And I get a lot out of it, and I learn a lot from that part of the process. And I recognize that any change in organization is not going to happen without the people. The people are critical. And so that's why we want to communicate. We want to make sure that we get their support and we give people what they need as we go through those change initiatives. So we'll get to my questions. Y'all can ask questions in just a second. But then I wanted to totally, this is not off topic, right? Y'all are in graduate school, and graduate school is a huge change, right? Working on your master's, working on your PhD, huge changes. And I know that I've lived it. I can empathize, I can sympathize, I can all of those things. And so I wanted to kind of give you some tips for some things that might help that particular change initiative a little more successful. Well, not more successful, maybe a little easier. Some things that helped me. So the first one is to pay attention to the graduate school calendar. You should live by it. Sometimes we make plans for when we want to finish, and the graduate school calendar has other plans. So pay attention to that because it rules all. If you have a topic, master's for your presentation, for your project, for your PhD, your dissertation, don't be one of those people who gets to the very end and you say, I don't know what I'm going to write about, because it's just going to take you longer. So try to figure out something that you want to write about, and then along the way, write about it. You've got papers, go ahead and start the research for your different classes, and go ahead and try to tie in that topic as much as you can. For PhD students, you're going to have to consider if you want to do qualitative or quantitative or mixed methods. Given my choice, I would go back and do qualitative. It would have taken me longer, but there's such a richness in that research. I did quantitative because in one of my, it was a research class, as part of the research block, one of the professors showed us a qualitative dissertation and a quantitative dissertation, and you said, okay, I definitely want to go with quantitative. However, looking back, I do wish I had either done mixed methods or qualitative. You're going to take comps. Don't be scared. One of the best pieces of advice I got in studying for comps was to go back to my syllabi for all of my classes and those objectives. Every class has objectives. Be able to answer those objectives. Because if you can answer those objectives for that class, then you know that class. When you are working on your project, and this really probably applies more to dissertation, if you have any kind of idea in mind when you want to finish, then you're going to have to say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. No, you're not. You're going to have to say yes, ma'am, and yes, sir, quite a lot, meaning that your committee, if it doesn't make a huge difference to you, just say yes, ma'am, or yes, sir, and keep moving, because that's going to help you get done a lot faster. I don't mean don't agree with something you don't agree with. I don't mean that, but you're just going to have to. There will be times where you will have differences of opinion, and chances are they're right. So so just say yes, ma'am, or yes, sir. And then finally, before we get to questions, harsh realities. And this is pretty harsh. I probably shouldn't have ended with this, but not everybody's going to finish, y'all. There are people that that aren't going to finish. When I took this change leadership class in 2011, there were 6 of us in the class. We were all PhD students. Again, that was 2011. 4 of us have PhDs. 4 out of 6. And the other 2 got to comps, got to dissertation, and then just didn't keep on keeping on. So, and the other harsh reality is you may not finish when you think you're going to finish, because it takes a lot longer than you think it's going to take. But you can do it. And I actually have here my contact information, my email address. Y'all can connect with me on LinkedIn. I would love that. So feel free to look me up, Janea Sims McDonald. And I would love to be a resource, a guide, mentor, whatever I can do as part of this process for you. So with all that in mind, that's a lot of information, but what questions do y'all have for me? Kenneth?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And I think really my question goes back to originally when you're talking about the billboard company and your acquisition and growth from 19 to 60. If you're the person, you said you're the human capital director, and you're driving that change, or you're helping lead and kind of monitor this as this is going on. How do you kind of reorient those leaders who are not leading that when they start to get shaky at the first signs of resistance? So, they're like, I didn't think it was going to be this hard. We just need to revert back. And it's like, no, you're already over the edge of the cliff. You just keep moving forward. And it's, I think of like mergers with colleges. You say this is the date, and after that date, you are that college again, and you're just all moving forward as one. And, it just takes time.
Well, and that's exactly it. It's reminding people that there is no turning back. It is what it is, and we will. It might be challenging, but there is only moving forward. There is not going back. And for me, what I try to do in my role is I say, okay, what resources do you need to make this happen? Do you need training? Do you need a book to read? Do you need one-on-one coaching with me? What can I give you to help make this transition a little bit easier? But it's that there is no turning back.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good question. Anybody else? And I hope y'all see it. Oh, yep, Carlos, there you are. Hey, Carlos.
How you doing? My question is, have you ever dealt with a leader that's a visionary but doesn't understand the follow through of the change?
Yes. Very much.
How would you?
So you're talking about somebody that's a vision, like they can see the big picture, but they don't see all the steps and all the what do I want to say, speed bumps to get there. Yes. And so I think that what you have to do with those kind of people, if you want to tell them of the speed bumps and kind of tell them of some issues that might arise and kind of remind them of the steps, sometimes they're not all too receptive. I think you have to really plan your communication and how you're going to help them understand exactly how difficult it's going to be. And a lot of times it is just forming it as a question. Well, have you thought about this? Or have you thought about that? Or, I did have this happen one time, and what are we going to do if this happens? And fortunately, it does help to be able to go to, and y'all are getting a lot of experience with research, to be able to step back and be able to say, oh, I've done some research on this, and these are some issues that might arise, because that helps kind of bring that person into focus. Yes, it's wonderful to focus on the vision, but we have to be able to focus on the baby steps there. And sometimes you just have to remind people of that nicely.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Dr. McDonald. I didn't think you could hear me because I've logged in the wrong way. I can't see everything. This is Sandra, and I just sent a question. But my question is, how big is your staff, and how have you been able to maintain or sustain your competitive advantage in your consulting firm?
Okay,
Because,
so, well, my staff with my consulting firm is one. It's me.
oh, it's you. Okay.
It's just me.
Okay.
And so, and then I work with a billboard company as in human capital, and there's two of us. But so it is just for me, just
Oh,
me in
wow.
the consulting. And I will say this too. I started my consulting company in 2011, and really could not have done it without the support of the folks in the Human Capital Development Program.
Wow.
Dr. Annulus is my mentor and my guide, and so she's been a huge help to me. But also, one of the things that I think is really important to note, I feel like a lot of people start thinking about that side of it, the consulting side of it, and 100% of my business since 2011 that I have gotten is from referrals, 100%.
Wow.
So that really goes a long way. You get in there and you do a good job, and then people will tell other people about you. Does that answer the question, Jen?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Any other questions? I think I'm just about at my time.
I think we could take one more.
Hi, Dr. McDonald. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. Hi, my name is Jamil. In managing with the top-down approach, I know you spoke on, I think Carlos asked about with you not being able to get a leader on board. So say if you have the leaders and the managers on board, have you ever had an instant where the employees weren't ready for change, since it would be more of them than the managers, that they weren't ready?
I think I'm kind of in that situation right now. That it is a situation where the CEO has the vision, and we're all going to make it happen. But I don't know. I think if I were to poll the 60 employees, I think that I would find that the vast majority of them, their hearts are not in that change at this point, just because they are road weary from the last acquisition, and so it would be difficult. So it's my job then to show them how it will be worth it in the end. And again, provide resources, because what happens in this scenario, we all just get overworked and overtired and over everything. And so I work with their directors and figure out how, like, what resources can we give them? Can we give them some time off? What can we do to make this a little bit easier on them? Because it's when they get overwhelmed, they just can't put their hearts into it. And so I really try to look at the hearts of the people involved and how we can, this is going to sound super cheesy, but how we can make their hearts happy. And because I think that's really important. And Dr. Kimmick and I could also talk forever about employee engagement. And so both of us wrote on employee engagement for our dissertations. And so you know, and he just said it in the chat, change exhaustion, because that is so true. And some people just change and change and change for the sake of change's sake. That doesn't sound right, but you know what I'm trying to say. And nobody benefits from that. So, you know, you need to keep in mind too that when there is a change, there needs to be a real reason, like a good reason to support that change initiative. That also helps too in trying to get people on board.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. What's in it for me? WIIFM. That's right. They want to know what is in it for them.
Yeah, it's everybody's favorite radio station, right? Yeah,
That's exactly right.
That's the way that goes. Okay. Well, Dr. Janea, I want to say thank you so much on behalf of myself and the course and ISPD for spending this time with us this evening. Our class is going to have a lot to think about over the next couple of days and a few things to write about regarding what you spoke of and how it relates to them and their change journeys. So we can't thank you enough.
Well, thank y'all very much for having me. And I'm not just, you know, Dr. Kimmick put my email address there in the chat. It's here. Y'all, please, if y'all just want to reach out and need somebody to vent to, like I said, I've been there. If you want to talk about change or you want to talk about, you know, graduate, whatever, I can be an ally and a mentor. So please reach out to me, and thank y'all very much for having me. And y'all are going to just keep loving this class because Dr. Kimmick is the best.
Aw, thank you.
Thanks, y'all.
Say hi to Andy and the kids for me.
I will. You say hey to Dawn Lynn.
Sure will.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. All right. Let's see. I know what I want to do. I just have to do it. Ah, there it is. Okay. So, before we start on our presentations, which will be, I think, when we get back from about a 5-minute break, we will engage. Okay. So, some things to look at for our speakers. Again, just the discussion points. You have your slides prepared. I've seen them earlier. You know, what is your change issue? What change model did you choose to solve your core issue or to address your problem? And what is your change plan? We'll give you 30 minutes with questions. So my $20 question right now would be, well, if you two have figured out who's going first, who's going second, are we giving you the screen or am I flashing your slides, that kind of thing? When we come back, you can let me know all about that and everybody else too. So let's take a quick 5 minutes. See, this came in the mail today. It's a little apple. I think it's an apple. No, it's a tomato timer. So I'm gonna set my tomato timer. I knew there was a reason they would give this thing to me. That's just to remind me to come back. So see you in 5.
Carlos, do you want to go?
Oh, I don't care.
Okay.
It's up to you. How you feel?
I'd be happy for you to go first.
Okay.
Okay. All right, perfect.
I'm ready.
It's my birthday today, so you
Oh
go first.
man, absolutely. I'm going first.
Okay. All right, thank you.
All good.
Are you gonna upload yours?
I gave it to him last night, but I made a few ads to mine, so I'm gonna run it myself.
Do you just do it up here where it says share content and you just do that, or you share your whole screen?
I'm sharing my whole screen. Some kind of, I think that's how you do it though.
You see up there though in the top corner. I have a Mac, so mine's
Mine's in the top right corner.
Okay, yeah, and see where it says thank you. See where it says share content? Can't you just put the just the Outlook? I mean, not the Outlook. What am I saying? The PowerPoint.
Yeah, I think when you share it, you can pick what you want to share on your screen, and it'll go from there.
Yeah, because I got like 1,000 things open on my screen. Okay. All right, perfect. Thank you.
I'm saving mine now to a PDF just in case it acts crazy. So.
Oh, okay. You're gonna do it as a slideshow, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, let me get something to drink.
Hey, Carlos, are you still on?
Yes.
This is Sandra. Look,
Hey.
I don't know how I signed in, but I can't see anything right now. So I'm trying to figure out what did I do wrong. I don't have access to chat.
Teams.
Nothing.
Are you on your desktop?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can invite you. Sometimes if you don't sign in.
I did this last term.
Yeah,
I mean, the
remember
other
in the
term.
other
Yeah,
class.
you had went through all that stuff and
Yeah,
yeah.
it says you're outside the organization. Let me see.
Okay, somebody help me.
I think you make. Yeah, let me see if that works.
Okay.
Participant role determines whether. All right, let's just see.
Did you sign in on your USM account?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I thought I did. Yeah. I signed in on my USM account, but I don't know what happened. Oh, not tonight.
I don't know.
Tonight is not the night for that, right?
It's
okay,
not
so
Dr. K. So what did I do?
I don't know what you did, but here's what you could do. Back out, come back in, use the link that's in Canvas,
Okay.
and let's see if that works. Let's see if that works any better for you.
I'm
Okay.
trying to. I can't back out. I don't see that either. It's
It
all.
won't let you. It won't let you leave the meeting.
I don't
Hit
see
the
it.
escape button. Hit the escape button and see if it'll.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna do that. Okay.
I think I'm gonna try the same thing because mine logged me in as a guest.
Yeah, I'm not in either as a guest, and it's not let me escape.
I'm gonna try and log out and get.
Oh God.
So here's the other thing you can try.
Okay.
You can reboot your computer and try to get in there.
Sandra?
Oh, yes.
There was a way just a few minutes ago on my side that it says remove from meeting, where it's like a hard push out, but I don't want to do that unless you you can't escape to get out.
Let me see. I can't.
Yeah, Ken can kick you out actually.
Kick me out because I'm not in.
Yeah.
It's not working.
We're gonna gently open the door here and back out. Okay.
Hold on.
Okay.
I'm going to remove you from the meeting. Is that okay?
That's fine,
Okay.
and I'll just go back.
Come back in. Okay.
I will.
See you later.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Yeah. And she is gone. And just like that, she walked out of our lives. I will say this about Teams. This is actually the best resolution picture. Oh, sorry. That started as a joke. And it kept going. Quiet. Darn thing. Okay, so who's first? Who's on first?
I am.
love that. Okay, you're on first. Now, are you going to share your screen? Control your one? Okay.
Share my screen.
I am going to relinquish my screen as I have done. So that should make it easier for you. You have the little box with the arrow up symbol there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's how you share your screen if you haven't done this before.
When it's my turn, Dr. K, I'm going to share my screen too.
Excellent. Excellent. That gives me less to keep up with, and that's always a good thing.
Okay.
So we're waiting for Sandra, are we not?
Okay, something happened. Yep.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Can you see me?
I can see you.
Okay.
Can you see us?
Yeah, I can see you.
Excellent.
I can see everybody. Yes. Okay.
Oh, that's a happy thing. That's happy making, right? Absolutely. All right, good. Welcome back. Welcome back, everybody, from the break. And Carlos, you're up first. So share your screen, do your thing, and just try to be mindful. We're going to give you about 30 minutes with questions.
Okay.
And you're off.
All right, 1 second here. I'm trying to pull this thing back up. Okay. Okay, I think I got it. It was just there. Okay. Can you see that?
What I'm looking at is the File Explorer.
Oh, wrong screen. Sorry.
It happens to me all the time.
Okay, let me figure this out. Okay, I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna share screen. Got it. I got it now.
Outstanding.
All right. Are we ready?
Ready when you are, sir.
Okay. Well, thank you guys again. My name is Carlos Bell, and I will be my case study today. I will be talking about moving from a transitional HR department to a HR business partner, and my experience in this case study is that I'm an appointed board of trustee for the Memorial Hospital here in Gulfport, and Memorial is they have about 384 beds, give or take. They are owned by Harrison County Board of Supervisors and the City of Gulfport. Um, and Memorial is probably one of the top 3 or 4th largest in the state of Mississippi. They span from having about 95 community clinics to 3 nursing homes and 2 additional hospitals. And Memorial, um, and in this transition, the part that I'm really going to expound on is the transition from human resource, the old general or the human resource generalist department, to the human resource business partner. And the problem that I wanted to expound on is how the human resource department functioned prior to just a few years ago, and how this department was really outdated or antiquated in a sense and fashion that did not meet the modern needs of any health system, and especially at Memorial. Specifically, some of these things that I would like to talk about is the human resource leadership was a homegrown or some type of a nepotist type of manner. And they focus directly basically on transactional paperwork, rather than operating in a strategic business partner, where they were working as a partner with the executive leadership, the customers, and employees, within employee relations. One of the things that we'll talk about is the human resource function, how it failed to provide an appropriate real world solution to complex healthcare related problems. And here are some of the things that I felt that were needed to talk about. In facts, the previous human resource leadership lacked formal education in human resource administration. They lacked the resources dedicated to the human resource department to fully support the role of the executive leadership team as they started to expand very rapidly. Um, Also being um, concise issues surrounding human resource non-compliance, in that area of talent acquisitions, the affirmative action or the affirmative action plan outdated, compensation plan outdated, the human resource information system, and even benefits. Some other facts about how they became more antiquated was the lack of diversity and inclusion within the memorial staff, the change leadership, change in the senior management, senior administration, change also in the human resource leadership that served as a catalyst to transform the department from a transactional HR department to a business partner. Also, some of the facts how some of the changes were with the impact of COVID-19. As we all can imagine, all the health systems in the world have been impacted in the COVID-19 pandemic. A successful implementation of a strategic business partner model is that allowing the HR department to cultivate the HR talent to develop centers of excellence instead of having a transactional human resource generalist model. I chose Kotter's change model, and with his 8 steps, I just used some examples to better get you guys to understand my case and why I used the Kotter's change model. The sense of urgency was absolutely a high demand because of the healthcare system and the healthcare communities changing so fast. Even more with COVID-19, high level talent at memorials was leaving at a rapid rate. We were losing nurses. The big demand right now is nurses, and just trying to be in a competitive as that demand grows. We to keep the great talent at Memorial was really hard for a time because of the antiquated human resource system and how they operated with this nepotist type of manner of hiring people that were not qualified. And so there was a urgency to make these changes. Developing the guidelines of coalitions. The board of trustees, what we did was we empowered the CEO and the new vice president of human resource to assemble their members, to assemble key members of the team to make vital changes to move the organization forward. And this took us trusting the new CEO and trusting the CEO to hire his new vice president of human resource to really get buy-in from us to them to really make this change. Communicating the vision, buy-in, starting with the HR, the human resource leadership's buy-in. That department by itself had to have buy-in, and I felt that the various department leaderships, the leadership and the executive leadership, and some of the ways that they created this vision was they started these town halls first to kind of bring in and change the culture of communication. Then once COVID had started, they created this new Zoom or town hall by Zoom or Teams or whatnot, and they enhanced the spotlight awards, where they had these spotlight awards, star awards, to create this synergy of excellence that people were doing things, or that the saying is they got caught being good. And so it was a good way to communicate this vision through these outlets. The fourth one's empowering broad-based actions. The workforce development program is one of the ones that I'm really proud of. Was created to answer the call from the community to have a resource in the human resource department to assist the community in finding and securing meaningful employment in the hospital. One of the other things, empowering the broad-based action it's not directly in the human resource department, but I'm proud to say as well that we assist or supported them in creating a new residency program. So we'll be the second residency program in Mississippi other than the University of Mississippi Medical Center. So that was a really great moment. And also the workforce investment, the internship that they just sealed the deal with local community colleges around the area. Generating short-term wins, successfully defending all EEOC complaints. Currently have 0 active complaints at this moment. 96% of participation in open enrollment plans from the employees. Compliant with the Office of Federal Contracting Compliance Programs, and having an active affirmative action plan. The 7th one, don't let up. Implementing an alternative work environment or arrangements. I think that this is really important for the time that we are in now, and experiencing and working toward working virtually, working alternative hours, you know, attracting new talent, even millennials, to, you know, be a part of the team. One of the things that that Memorial did was update the standard dress code policy, specifically to address talented millennials. For example, a few years ago, Memorial had a dress code that you couldn't have 2 earrings in your ear, or you couldn't have a nose ring or a tongue ring, and you couldn't have tattoos, visibly tattoos anywhere. And so this here probably would stir away anyone of that falls in that category. And there's a lot of people that have great talent, but they would lose the opportunity to hire good people based off the outdated dress code policy. And making it stick, make change stick, updating the compensation model, absolutely, and proceeding to restructuring the whole deal, just making sure that we can get into hiring people within the 50 to 75th percentile in the country means a lot when you have good people that want to move in and stay here. What is your change plan? So implementing the Kotter's change model to address unforeseen problems. That is how we make this change, and this is how we address it. What are we committed to changing? We are committed to creating leaders that can assess the situation clearly. We need leaders that can understand and not go into a situation kind of bullheaded in some sense, but making sure that they are able to assess the situation and make sound decisions to help implement the change and also rectify problems or even unforeseen problems that happen suddenly. We're committed to creating leaders that can cultivate a strategic vision for change, also identifying the problems. We want problem solvers. We want people that can, you know, help the situation. Or this is an example that I'm totally not prepared for, but I read a book or an article about who monkey is the back on. You know how people come up with ideas, but they want someone else to do it. You know, kind of that type of attitude in some sense. We're committed to creating leaders that can utilize the stakeholders' relationship to obtain buy-in and remove obstacles. I'm proud that I keep an open door policy, or I'm approachable as a board trustee, that I feel comfortable if a department head or, you know, a phlebotomist or someone that's working in the environmental cleaning, you know, department, that they can walk up and talk to me about anything that they have a concern with. And I think that means a lot, that we all are on the same team and that they can get buy-in from me as a trustee to remove obstacles. Okay, we are committed to creating leaders that, I should probably use my cursor so I can keep up where I'm at. that can develop unique solutions to address the situation at hand. Also, we are committed to creating leaders that can lead when not in charge. It's one of my favorite books, and I think that if you're able to change an environment and change a department like the human resource department that had this antiquated type of manner, that everyone can't be the boss, but we all can lead in some ways. And this book, and it really does tie into a lot of ways that, you know, there's normally only one boss, in the sense of how, you know, the CEO or the boss or whatnot, but we all can lead and be leaders even when we're not in charge. We are committed to creating leaders that can learn from their and other mistakes. Um, if we just got to be able to learn. I mean, I just believe in that. I teach my kids that at home, and I live by that. Is that, hey, you don't have to run into that wall because I ran into it already before. So, and lastly, we're committed to creating leaders that we can continue to invest in their personal life and their professional growth. I think that this here kind of ties it all back together. As if we're trying to implement a change model or a change plan in this department, to get buy-in, I think we do have to have buy-in from the top-down approach, but I think there is also a servant leadership type of approach as well, that if we invest in people, people will in return, you know, work their best or provide their best and be their best. And so that comes with health and, you know, the emotion, the relationship at home, the relationship at work, you know, their dreams. How do we implement their dreams and their talents into our plan so that they're invested? And so I think that we continue, if we're committed to doing and to creating leaders, that we have to absolutely invest in them as leaders as well. And I think that is it. I had 6 minutes left. Any questions?
I have a question. I have a couple questions, Carlos. Excellent presentation. Thank you. How do you guys identify the problem solvers in the interview process, right? Like, do you do exercises? Critical thinking skills are, you know, an issue in the hiring process these days, and identifying it for outside candidates. I was just wondering how you guys do that.
So I'm not in the human resource department, but I'll tell you how I do it at my job. And some of those, I think they're the tough questions. Really understand the interview process of you have the cliche answer sometimes, you know, but I also think that we can, as leaders, we do develop a trait of discernment in a sense, of able to see through bull crap in some sense, you know. So you know, yeah. That's my personal experience, is that I think that we bring a lot. If you bring all your experiences to the interview, you know what you don't want in some sense. And
but I mean, I just meant more of in a way to tell other people how to do it, right? Like, you and I might know how to do it, but somebody who's a new manager or that's in a new hiring manager type situation, they might not know how to do that, and then they don't know how to, you know, separate fact and fiction. So as long as you gave a good presentation, you know, and that's part of the whole thing, right? Like, being able, you know, to build the critical thinking skills for the manager and for the, you know, being able to determine who has those skills that you want them to come into your organization.
I think it's I think it's something it comes with time or experience. You know, I think it's something that you can't, I don't know if you can read a book and have that, you know. I think my critical thinking skills would have never been what they are unless I went to Iraq, because now I had to think really, really fast on my feet.
Yeah.
But what happened also is that that transitioned to me being a college basketball referee as well. So it was critical thinking under pressure, like it or not, so,
Right.
so I think that it comes in experience. I think if someone has had one job or one company in several departments, they bring they bring all this life experience with them. Even with millennials, in some sense, or younger leaders, they have a tendency to bring another perspective to the game, and I can appreciate people that want to come to work at 10 o'clock and they stay to 7, versus my dad wants to be there at 5 and leave at 3. Everyone's getting the job done, so I don't take a lunch. I don't. If I do take a lunch, I'm probably not going to come back. But but in the sense of, so I'll give you an example. So we don't have a CEO. I work at the Port Authority. We don't have a CEO. I work directly for the CEO. But now the CFO is my direct line. And so she deals with people that works in finance. They have to be sitting in their seat. I'm the director of public engagement. I don't sit in my seat. I'm on the phone. I'm out. I'm at the mayor's meeting. I'm at the council meeting. I'm at a nonprofit, and that's the value of what I do. She wanted me to be in my seat, and I just had to explain to her. I said, "Hey, I can sit here. I really can. But that's not." And I think it was a matter of coaching and say, "Hey, this is what I really do." So I mean that's my example. So
Yeah. Thank you.
thank you.
Carlos.
Yes.
It's Sandra. I have a question. Since the system was so antiquated, and everybody in this class knows that you have people who say, I'm never going to do that. Those changes, I hate them. I don't like them. Were there people who decided on their own, without any coaching, to just leave?
Yes. A lot. A lot. And so, and I kind of insinuated a few times this nepotist manner,
Right.
because for so long, the, the vice president of human resource had no college degree,
Wow.
been there 30 years, but had no real experience in human resource. And so what happened was this culture was just created to push papers, and that's it. They're
Wow.
not doing anything else, just handle complaints, but not any part of the employee engagement portion of it. So when the new CEO came in, he wanted change, and this change started with, all right, I got to get someone that has, an ungodly amount of experience to help us take the whole health system where he wanted to go. So yeah, people just packed up and left after they had been there, and they just packed up and left. Some of them didn't even put a notice in. It was like, wow, it
Wow.
was just, you know. But I think what I agree with Dr. Janea McDonald. I agree with her. Like, people just sometimes they're stuck in their ways and they just don't want to
Yeah.
change, and they much rather, just walk away versus stick it out.
I just want to say it's surprising that that system lasted as long as it did, you know, with the people that were running it. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you. You
Yeah.
did an outstanding job.
Thank you.
So Carlos, I don't really have a question for you. I just wanted to say what a great presentation you did. And I've worked with you on a couple other occasions, and you just bring such an honesty and truth about what you're saying, and that's why I love to listen to you. But also, I love your part about mistakes and learning from other people's mistakes. But like I share with my students, if I'm not making mistakes, I'm not learning. If all of y'all are getting hundreds, I'm not doing my job. I'm not teaching you something new. And so I love that you brought that up, because they're like, oh, Miss Hartley, you must be really smart because you make lots of mistakes. I said, that's right. But I love that. And so thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I appreciate that. That is so true. It is. it's something that, like I said, I live by these rules, and that's probably one of the main things why I picked Kotter, because I can relate to like real life urgency. You know, January 1, the urgency is, hey, I'm whatever my my New Year's resolution is. But at the bottom, it's like, hey, can you stick with it? You know, on January 15th, have you changed your mind or forgot about it? You know, and I just feel like those steps are just so vital for an organization that's implementing something that the whole culture in the sense was embedded with. I'm gonna hire my cousin. I'm gonna hire my buddies. You know, every now and then we'll slip in someone that's qualified, and hopefully we'll just get past it. You know, and after a while, that train just the stress at the top, it just starts to wear down. You know, if the rest of the team is not pulling their weight. You know, so Michael Jordan can't win it all by himself. Somebody got to pass him the ball. So I mean, it's just somebody got to take the ball out. It's just Dr. K can dunk it all night, but somebody got to blow the whistle so he can get in the game, turn the clock. But yeah, I live by mistakes 100%. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Those are some excellent points. I like the way you covered transactional operations versus a more strategic role. Yeah. I mean, they just sat around doing paperwork and weren't happy with nothing else. They didn't want to do no planning or work, for goodness sake. So yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things that we've seen in businesses and training departments for years and years. And the problem with that, of course, is no one gets better. I mean, if all the concern is that you're keeping everything within budget and you're putting people in seats, and if you call that a successful year in training, you blew it. What you should be doing is going out and finding out what's eating everybody's lunch, helping set priorities, and taking care of those human resource development kinds of things that you need to take care of to move the organization forward. And it's a big difference between being transactional and strategic. And a lot of times the difference between one and the other is having a good system of measurement, right? So, being able to evaluate it, give feedback. And you're right about the other part too. Absolutely. People, if they don't want to play and they leave, that's good. I mean, as Kenneth pointed out, help them be their best someplace else. It's all right. Not a problem, because we're going to find somebody that wants to do the job, right?
I'll write you a letter.
Absolutely. I'll write you a letter of recommendation, and I'm going to send you to my fiercest competitor, and hopefully they'll take you and make things better for me. All right.
Man, I'm sorry. You jogged a memory. That the commercial or the saying where the guy is talking to his boss about training. He says, "Sir, do we?" The CEO says, "Do we want to spend?" No. The EXO says, "Do we want to spend that much money on training them?" And then the CEO says, "What does he say? If we don't spend the money on them, if we don't do it, they're gonna stay," or something like that. This is like, we got to invest in them, because if we don't, they're gonna stay here.
Oh Lord.
And,
yeah, that's scary stuff
that
right
they're
there.
gonna leave because they got the training. He was like, well, if we don't train them, then they're gonna stay here. And
we don't want that. No, I got you. All right. So here's the thing. That was a great presentation. Good job. You had all the you hit all the marks on the slides and all that kind of thing. The only other thing that I would do, and I want to remind everybody of this, is your reference page looks good. Thank you for that. Don't forget to put your citations on your slides. So if you've been working on those, go ahead and put those on there. And Carlos, Julie, if you haven't done it, I give you some time to go ahead and repost to do that.
Yeah, mine are on there. Thank you.
You are very welcome. You are very welcome. So just want to make sure everybody has a fair chance to get that stuff done. Loved it. Good job. Great. And you're right. Your easy manner and down to earth presentation skills are I was kind of captivated by you, Carlos. Thank you. Good job. All right, let's do this. I think, yes, we do. All right, let's take a quick 5. That'll allow Julie to get set up, and when we come back, we'll roll into your presentation. Everybody ready? Set. Break.
Kenneth, do you know if he has to allow me to share my screen before I can share it? You're on mute. I can't hear you.
I don't believe he does.
Oh, I didn't know if you were there. I can see Kenneth.
I just walked back. I was getting a cup of coffee. But no, I don't think I do, because I haven't done it for anyone else up to this point.
Okay, because I tried to do it and it was just spinning, so I didn't know if it was.
Well,
again.
Let us see. People.
Yeah, because I'm looking at it, it's spinning, but it's not doing anything.
Let's see what we got here. Make an attendee. Participants' role determines whether they can share content, mute others, and more. Oh, heck yeah. I'll just give that. I'll give that up to you anytime. How's that look? Any better? Make a presenter. Ha! I got skills. All right. How's that?
Okay, yeah, it says I'm a presenter now. Okay, let me try it again.
Now I'm learning this piece at a time. You know, this is like the third piece of software we've tried for our online courses since we started. Talk about change. This one seems to be working really well, though.
Yeah, and this might be my computer. I don't know. It's doing a lot of spinning lately for some reason. I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm like old school with that kind of thing. You know, it's like, oh, really? I just reboot the whole computer. You know, it's like, okay, well, let's see if that fixed it. I just don't have the time or the inclination to be playing with it for too long.
Yeah, I don't either. Okay, let me see. So that's the only way I can do it is at the top. There's no other option on here.
Well, you should have an option there that is a square with an arrow at the bottom of it pointing
Right.
into the square, and you should be able to click that.
Yeah, and when I click it, it goes like halfway up the screen and it's just spinning.
Okay, so let me see. Says here.
Yeah, I think that's how Carlos did it in his work. So it might just be my computer.
Well, can you see your slides on your computer?
I have them on my, yeah, I have it open, but I can't see it on the Teams window. No.
All right, you should be able, you got that arrow up, you should be able to do it. But rather than starting your computer over and going through all those gyrations, I am happy to share my screen and I can advance your slides for you.
Okay.
Okay, so, you know, it may just be, it just may be a resource issue.
Okay. Yeah, no, like I said, my computer's been doing a lot of spinning, so I have no doubt that that's what the problem is.
No worries. I just need to find out where I'm at. Desktop. Oh, yeah, desktop. Desktop. Okay, so going to open up this one. And I'm going to enable. All right. So far, so good. Yeah. So then the question is, let's see. This is working. Can you see? What can you see? Tell me what you can see.
I can see the desktop box. I wonder if I hit this button that says request control, do I need to do that? Try it.
I'm not seeing a thing.
Oh, yeah, no, it's gone now. Whatever you did, it's gone.
No, that was me.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, share content. And one of these, there it is. Is that a winner?
That's a winner.
Okay, good. I am so glad to hear that. And that looks like your lead-in slide. So just, you know, say slide or something, you know.
Okay, yeah, I'll let you know when to change.
Cool. All
and
right.
I can turn this camera off, right? Like my camera off. Is that okay?
Yeah, that is perfectly fine.
Okay. All right. I'm ready whenever you guys are.
I'm ready.
Okay. All right. Perfect. I'm going to be doing my presentation today. I called it Leading Sales Experts because we're working on a project. I'm a human resources director for a wireless like retail company. It's a Cricket wireless authorized retailer, not a corporate Cricket store. So we're working on changing how we lead. So I thought these two quotes were really relevant to the organization that I work for. It's motivation comes from feeling. Knowledge isn't enough to motivate change. We have some smart people. That's definitely absolutely true because the knowledge is not helping the change. And I found this really interesting. This quote, "What looks like resistance is often a lack of clarity." And that's so true. You can go to the next slide, Dr. K. So to start off, I'm going to give a little background. Our company is was owned by four brothers, and now two of the other brothers left, and we have two brothers that run our company. They're very uninvolved owners, but they're very, they lack transparency, and they also like to micromanage through others, if that makes sense. So we right now, COVID has exacerbated every problem that's been in this organization for some time. The sales are declining, employee turnover is high. The leadership is pretty disconnected, and not just at the ownership level. Even the VP, he has a different method of management. So he really tends to micromanage, and we're spread out from Central Florida. We have 97 stores. We had 106. We had to close 3 due to sales, and when COVID started, that because the sales were so low, so they closed 6 stores. We, like I said, we're spread out from Central Florida to Southwest Florida, and the leadership team needs to clearly improve sales, improve employee relationships. And I think the most essential part of this change process is learning how to communicate effectively. Focusing on outcomes, we tend to do that. We have Monday, Wednesday, Friday senior management meetings that look a lot like this. The VP reads spreadsheets for an hour and a half. And when they bring in the store managers and the other employees, we still read spreadsheets for an hour and a half. So I picked the switch change model for a reason. And the main reason was because the simplicity of it. And it focuses in areas where I think that it would lead this change most effectively. Because the barriers that we are encountering, beyond the ones I've already mentioned, we have a primarily female workforce. I'm the only female senior manager, and it might seem as though that's not a significant barrier, but it actually is, especially in the time of COVID, when you have people that have entry-level jobs. They come. There's childcare issues, there's all these issues, and there's no empathy for any of our employees. The whole mindset is discipline for everything. And our turnover rate is like 76%. So clearly the discipline by whatever cost is not working. We have a lack of diversity, and we just lack a growth of mindset. Everything is a fire drill. Today, this is the most important thing. Then 3 hours from now, this is something else that's most important. There's no real strategy. There's no real leadership in the sense that nobody knows the direction. And that's why I kind of put this bullseye on there, because just trying to figure out beyond metrics how everybody's workday looks, what it looks like is a big focus. So I'm actually doing a leadership training that I'm going to be utilizing some of what I put together for this presentation because COVID has exacerbated, and it's like really put a super big magnifying glass on all of the issues that this company has had for some time. So Brene Brown, who's a researcher, she has done a lot of work. She has a book called Dare to Lead, and she has this quote that says, "What stands in the way becomes the way." And I think that kind of speaks to something Carlos was saying too, like having empathetic leaders and that build authentic, positive working relationships is something that the leadership team at my company needs to strive for. And being courageous leaders, the number one answer in the research that Brene Brown did for her book, for what organizations need, is braver leaders and more courageous cultures. And that is definitely true in this organization. So being able to communicate is kind of where the focus is going to be for this particular project, because I think without the communication, we can't get any further than that. Like I said, reading spreadsheets is clearly not communication. And another very infamous Brene Brown quote, choosing truth over comfort. We have 6 district managers, a vice president, then we have an operations person, a director of operations, and 2 other senior managers and myself. And as a human resources director, they rely on me to do a lot of the uncomfortable conversations. And so we're also working through a process that because being comfortable is not necessarily, because bottom line, people are often comfortable avoiding uncomfortable things, right? So going back to that quote from Brene Brown, choosing the truth over comfort, it's really important for the leadership to know that you can't create any type of authentic culture if you're unable to have difficult conversations. We can go to the next slide, Dr. K. So like I said, I picked the switch change model, and you'll see this quote, clear is kind and unclear is unkind. Again, going back to the concept of the communication. So before I get into any more what we're going to do in our company, the specifics, I know that our last guest speaker, she actually brought this book to our attention in our last PowerPoint, and I bought the book because, and I would recommend anybody that is in a change situation that needs a simplistic model. This is a very good model, I think. So there's 3 steps: direct the rider, motivate the elephant, and shape the path. The rider is the rational side of you, right? It's the part of our minds that is, the strengths are, they're the thinker, the planner. But a lot of times we have all these options. People get into analysis paralysis, and they don't know how to pick the best option. And so we never get to make forward progress because we're always analyzing and talking about, well, what if this and what if that? At some point, there has to be a decision maker, right? There has to be somebody to move the ball down the field. And motivating the elephant is the emotional, instinctive side. So the strengths are, compassion, sympathy, loyalty, love. Weaknesses is the hunger for instant gratification, right? So maybe the elephant doesn't really respond too much to the long term. You need to generate some type of feeling. And we have to shape the path. And I think this is a real crucial step, especially for my organization. Shaping the path can lead to dramatic changes in behavior. So you have to kind of paint the destination, right? So to go back to the beginning, to like break down direct the rider, finding the bright spots is, you, according to the switch change model, you need to find someone. It doesn't have to be like the best, almost unheard of story, but you have to find an example in your organization so that you can use it as a model, right, of something good. It doesn't have to be, like I said, anything over the top. They give a lot of very practical examples in the book, and you have to make sure before you start making change that you understand the normal way things are done. And then you have to find a way to reproduce those bright spots in other people, right? So if somebody is an outstanding salesperson, some people maybe just have a natural gift for that, but also if they have specific strategies, which takes me to the next point, the scripting the critical moves. And I think this is so difficult. I mean, even as I was doing this presentation, it took me a while to get to the point where I was being specific. We all tend to talk in generalities, right? So it's easy to do, but being very specific and scripting the next move. Well, like I said, in our meetings, a lot of times what happens is that we get all the metrics over and over and over again. And unfortunately, that isn't helping anybody because nobody's moved by it. And then you get district managers that go out into the field and they think that they're being helpful to their employees, and they're saying, we need you to sell 12 phones today. And maybe that person started a week ago and they've gone through some, company onboarding, and they'd have no idea how to sell anything because maybe this is their first job. So giving the script, really saying, okay, if you want somebody to sell this, give them the words that they use, right? And then once you develop that script for that person at that point, once they become more comfortable, they'll come up with their own script. But if you just say, this is the expectation, these are the metrics that we want you to meet, which, a lot of times when we create SMART goals, it's all about having those metrics. But I think that we also sometimes lose sight of the fact that we need to ensure that we're connecting with the person that we're talking to, and they understand where this is going to take them. We have a VP who usually on our staff calls, on our employee phone calls, he'll say things like, you need to make the company money. It's not the most motivating statement that you've ever heard. So we want to get a destination that's mutually beneficial for everybody. And these steps in this particular change model, I mean, as in Kotter and some of the other ones too, they're pretty easy, but these, I think, make you really go into the weeds a little bit and make sure that you're not just generalizing. Because if I know this is probably repetitive, but generalizing really makes it difficult for people that, one, don't like to ask questions, or two, that they just don't know. And then if they ask, and you have leadership that they just know the spreadsheet, that's what they know. They've been taught to the spreadsheet. And so we have to give the leaders the right words so that they can pass on these words and strategies all the way down the line. But in order to connect, that's where the motivate the elephant portion comes in. In order to connect with the employees, for leaders to, and I'm a firm believer, like I said in Brene Brown's quote, like, you have to have some authenticity. If you try to fake your way through it, people usually see through that. Even the most inexperienced, people are people, and we all usually at some point can recognize when people are being genuine and when people are not. So finding the feeling, like, I think that the only way you can find the feeling and find a way to connect is if you take the time to listen to people. And it's not about oversharing or being in people's personal business, but it's about finding out why they're there. Because some people might be there because they, sales is their goal in life, and they want to move up the food chain to, run, be in charge one day. And, some people are there because their kids have to eat and they have to pay their rent. But maybe if they can connect some other skill or some other thing that they can get from this job, then they have more buy-in, right? We've had, a couple guest speakers that everybody always talks about buy-in. But I think a lot of times, especially in my organization, the leaders are not at all interested in the people. And I think that especially if you're in a sales business, we should probably care about people more than numbers, because that's how we'll get the sales. And when I very first got to this company, I tried to initiate some change, but I think that I tried to do too many things at one time because it was almost overwhelming to me how much change was necessary. So I think the next step about shrinking the change is also really, really important. Giving too much information, trying to, throw all these things at everybody is, it clouds it. And I think that this switch change model is really helpful in steering you back to your ultimate goal. You have to keep, where you're trying to get to in mind, right? And one of the deficiencies in the company is that we don't have a growth, or, the leadership does not have a growth mindset, right? And so you have to find a way to grow your people. And in order to grow your people, again, you have to know them and see them as people. You cannot go into it. This is some of the things that we talk about regularly nowadays, or at least I talk about, that you can't just go into your position and feel as though everybody's a con artist trying to get over on the company, making up some story why they can't come to work. Childcare is a real issue. So people don't learn from you either if they don't find you to be approachable or connected. So working on, again, the communication and the relationship building in order to get to the point where we can even motivate somebody, there's a lot of repair that has to be done in this organization. And shaping the path can lead to dramatic changes in behavior, but in the model they suggest, the Heath brothers, they suggest that you have active triggers. Like, I know a long time ago, there was like some trainer, he used to say, always put your tennis shoes by your bed so that when you wake up in the morning, the first thing you do is so you go take a walk or you run or whatever. That those tennis shoes were the trigger for you to know, okay, yep, it's time for me to exercise, right? The same thing, or give free spaces where people can, if they don't understand something and they have a group of people that they feel comfortable with, they can discuss it, come up with more innovative ideas. And tweaking the environment, creating an environment where people can thrive. And in this particular culture, the only way to thrive is if you stroke somebody's ego, that you make them feel very important. So really isn't, and it's definitely not mutually beneficial to anyone. And also making sure that you capture those small wins, right? Like if we reduce the turnover rate from the outrageous number, of 70%, and we go to 68%, then, celebrating that, making sure that everybody has, can see the success. So that way, you have that instant gratification, but you still have the long term in your sights. And that doesn't allow the success to be too distant. And you have to understand people's identity, right? And build habits that I just firmly believe that are always mutually beneficial. Businesses are there to make money and to be successful. People that don't make money in business, I always say it's a hobby. And so clearly, as an employee of a company, you need people that are going to help your business thrive. But it's not mutually exclusive, right? Like if the business thrives, the people that are making that business thrive should also do that. And in the company where I work, that is definitely not the mindset. So even before I can get them to buy in, I have to go through this same process in doing the training with them to ensure that they see the value. And then again, that's why I picked this model, because being able, it's a lot easier to get them to see the value in this, because there are some tangibles in here, right, that you can link back to the relationship building, and all of it. It's easy, I think, for them to see. building habits too. We have these meetings, scheduled already, but there's some other ways that we could go about it to make it more productive. And rallying her, getting everybody to buy in, getting everybody to a place where, again, like I say, the employees aren't the enemy, for lack of a better word, or, dispensable people in the whole organization. Okay, we can go to the next slide, Dr. K. So what's the plan? The plan, I start here with the starting point, with the leadership being out of alignment with the employees, and because communication is so unclear, sales are declining, and because the relationships are bad, employee turnover is high, right? So some suggestions that I came up with in doing this presentation to try to find a bright spot. We have a district manager who actually does a really fantastic job, and he has a 6% turnover rate in his area. Considering how high our turnover rate is, that's pretty amazing. So, to be specific, he trains instead of disciplines. He listens to his employees. So scripting the critical moves would be the first thing. We're not going to do discipline. We're going to train instead of discipline. So giving that alternative. And then on the flip side, the leadership team has been required to work 6 days a week, and most of them have worked a minimum of 3 to 5 years at this company, working 6 days a week. So the incentive for them is that when we start this process, they will no longer be working 6 days a week. So they might, one, not feel so burnout and overloaded, but two, that gives them that time to regroup and not feel so pressured to even just go through the motions, I guess. So for motivating the element to find the feeling, I've spent a lot of time on this part trying to figure out how I could get the members of the leadership team to besides me just constantly saying, "Are you serious? These are real life issues." Sometimes I feel like even some of them, there's a disconnect because they're just so they live like on a different planet than most of our employees. Me, I don't know. It's just that, like I said, extremely disconnected. So we I put together this video of people what they've experienced because of COVID, right? I felt like that was kind of a benign topic that they could everybody can wrap their mind around, right? It's a real thing for most of us. And it was amazing their response to that, actually. And it captured exactly what Motivate the Elephant is about. There was a lot of questions about it. It got their attention, and that was my purpose. Like, they think that all these people are making up the fact that the school says you have to quarantine with your child and that you can't come to work. This is just some master plan to collect a $275 unemployment check. I'm not sure, but once they saw that these were real people saying real things and it wasn't me like on a soapbox, they were much more responsive. And then shrinking the focus, shrinking the change. Just focus. The number one focus right now is learning about the employees. Then growing your people. There's a 4-question test in the book that talks about helps tell you if you have a growth mindset or a fixed mindset, so you can kind of see where everybody is. That's a really good way to start to figure out where you need to get to. And then switching the districts and, letting district managers work in different districts. Sometimes I think that they are so familiar with certain people that work for them that they judge. They're very judgmental. They never walk into the situation that without some preconceived notions. So going in another district, working with somebody else's employees, I think that is a good way for them to like get a restart. And we're having short meetings, like to start off the day and end off the day now. And the only thing that can be discussed are positive things that happened that day, to try to take some of the negativity out of the culture, and because it truly starts with the leadership. If the leadership is always condemning and judging and doing all these things, then people feel that and it affects the culture. So this is a way to go about it without saying everybody needs to say something a little more positive, because clearly that didn't work either. So, it becomes contagious. Behavior is contagious at that point. And it takes, like Brene Brown says, you have to be courageous leaders at some point. You have to be willing to have those difficult conversations. You have to be able to be authentic, and you have to have a vested interest in your people. And I'll close with this, that, let me see, where did it go? That we, sorry, I lost my place. That we have to be aware, have some self-awareness before we can be effective leaders, right? We have to care about our people in order for us to be able to institute change. Yeah, it has to be, like I said, a mutually beneficial situation. So I think that's it for me, Dr. K. I'll turn this back on.
Sorry, I just had to get myself situated.
I have, you guys can, I'll take questions. I forgot about that part, sorry.
Oh, it's okay. But yes, we do have time for a few questions.
I forgot to set my timer. It's right here and I forgot to set it. So.
Hi, Julie.
Hi, Sandra.
Look, what was it? Oh, that turnover rate was extremely high. Good grief.
It's outrageous.
Lord, all your training dollars going out the door, walking right back out. What was the average, let's see, what am I trying to say here? What was the average turnover time at your company? How long did it take people to just say, I've had enough, I'm gone?
About a week and a half.
Whoa.
10 days is the average, yeah.
That long.
Whoa.
And it's because the first 4 days are like in an onboarding training, so the rest.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait.
It really starts with the leadership. I have a consulting company too, but for my day job, I do the HR. I'm the HR director there. It's mortifying sometimes how they go about things, because it's like this, I don't know, 1970s, 80 mindset where if we put your foot on your neck so hard, you're just going to do what we say. And it's clearly not working.
That doesn't work anymore. Oh, no, yeah. That's gone. That's over.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, I have a quick question. First thing I wanted to say was great job on your presentation. I really liked your slides on how you had all the formatting and the colors and everything. It was really easy to follow. I also wanted to say I want to commend you for caring about the employees in the midst, and being surrounded by others who don't. It seems like, management, people sort of follow the leader, and if you have management that seems like they don't care, then other managers will take on that same kind of, you know, they feel like they have to fit into the club. So if I see, you know, this manager treating the employees a certain way, I feel like I have to do the same thing so that I can fit in. And it slowly becomes a part of the culture of the
Absolutely.
organization. And
And
it takes a strong person to go against the grain and say, hey, no, we're not going to do this. Just, you know, we need to treat people right and treat everybody with respect. And like I said, it takes a bold person to do that. So I just wanted to commend you. And I wanted to ask you, you know, do you feel like you're having an impact in kind of changing the culture?
I think I've had some. Actually, tomorrow will be a year since I've worked there, right? And it's funny because we have like 6 district managers, and half of them they see the value in what I say. The other half are like practicing politicians, right? So the VP, I can say that one. If you ask my mama, she'd say I always go against the grain. So there's that. But he is really like from a whole nother planet to me, right? So unfortunately, we had somebody pass away that worked with us for COVID. Well, where I come from, you know, you send food and you raise money and you try to help people in bad times.
Right.
When we were collecting money, he literally said he wanted a receipt for a tax write-off if he gave a donation to this family. And I was just like, I mean, I have come to the conclusion that with him there is no influence, right? Like because that statement alone, somebody just lost their 24-year-old child, and you are actually talking about. I mean, how much? As I said to him, are you going to give like $1 million? I mean, I don't know, like $25 is going to require a tax write-off or whatever he was going to give. So I think that it's been beneficial to some. There are always some that you just can't help. And he's definitely number one on the list. Thank you for the compliment on the slide. This is Kim, right? That's talking.
Yes, yes.
Well, you know, you are the inspiration because when we were in the other class, in Dr. Roberts' class, you had like the best presentation. I said I have to do better because I promise you this is not easy for me.
Yes, you know, at the time I was on maternity leave, so I had nothing but time all day to work on that. So listen, don't come to expect that. That was a one time only. But thank you. Awesome job.
Thank you.
I got a question and a comment. First of all, the vice president tells you how much he knows about business models and understanding business that you can't get a write-off on a for-profit company. So
Oh no, he wanted for his personal, Carlos. Like everybody was personally giving to our coworkers, family members. Yeah, he wanted for his own personal taxes.
That's what I'm saying. There's no avenue for him to get that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Without being a 501c3, it's just really valuable for someone to make that comment and not know that, you know. So just that's just cold and just cold. This is what my pastor says something that's really it's a spiritual cliche saying, but you can use it in the professional corporate America is to love the hell out of people. And sometimes when you have people that are cold-hearted and try that old school, you know, putting the foot in your neck or whatever, or we need you here 6 days a week, doesn't matter about, you know, how you feel today or did you need an umbrella while it was raining outside, you know, even to that point, you know, or, you know, providing human resource or, you know, logistics, something that I pride myself in when onboarding. Onboarding is so important. When they get there, the computer is already set up and ready. They already got an email address. They already have the things that when they get there day one, they hit the ground running. And it's so important to do that because it's to invest more time into building that onboarding to make it seamless, that there's no downtime, that when they get there, they understand that, hey, they're about business. they actually care about me as well. I got my
That's
got my
right.
email address. My shirts are already here, you know, logos.
We're happy that you're here.
Yeah, yeah, you know, and so whatever you can do to soften that, you know, just operate in excellence, and you know, hopefully some of them may catch on, but sometimes they just won't, and you just have to continue to go back to what my pastor said. You just gotta, you know.
Yeah, they say I'm crazy because this man's name is Joe, and they say I'm the only person that talks to him, and he's very difficult for me to talk to. But it's like almost like I'm determined. I don't know if I love him to death, but I promise you, I'm determined to at least get him to see a different way. And I'm not afraid to say anything. And I think they don't even know how to handle that at this point. So, you know, I think maybe I'm shocking them to death. I don't know.
Well,
But
with it being your birthday, you know, we got to stand up and clap for you on that.
oh
There
no,
you go. There you go.
thank you.
Outstanding job, you two. Julie, the end, very nice. Very nice. It was a good wrap to the evening. And certainly you both, you and Carlos, hit all the high points on your presentations. And I am really looking forward to your papers when they come through. So keep plugging away at those. I do have a couple of reminders that I'd like to kind of go through real fast, and then we'll break for the evening. If I can figure out, oh, look at all this stuff. Ta-da! Okay, lest we forget, we've got Dr. Janea McDonald's presentation that's been done, of course, but now we have the discussion board for that. So just following the directions, you know the questions, you just answered them. And oh, by the way, y'all did a stellar job in your assessment and feedback for Ms. Roberts, Paige Roberts. I was very, very happy reading all of those. So great job there. Don't forget to look at the rubric when you do these things. It helps. So thank you so much for that. Coming up, week 4. We're going to be meeting on Thursday next week, not on Tuesday. So please mark your calendars. We'll meet in teams again. That seems to be working for us. Our guest speaker will be John Bentley. Some of you are pretty familiar with John by now, having been to 1 or 2 of his extra credit presentations that you sat in on. And by the way, those papers that I'd received were very, very, very good. So thank you for those. Next week, we'll have Jamil, Connor's 8 Stages of Commitment, and Gina, Passmore's Continuous Change Model. And as far as assignments, please, speakers, upload your PowerPoints a day early, so I have them handy in case I need them to, how do you say, step in for you to present slides. And discussion board, of course, John Bentley initial post 219, and the response to at least one other peer on the 21st. Now, playing with the stuff here. There you go. Okay. So it is now 9 o'clock. Does anybody have any parting questions for me? Going. Gone. Okay, so you all have a great evening. Get some rest, and we'll do it all again tomorrow in some way, shape, or form, I'm sure. Have a great night.
All right, you too. Thank you.
Night. Happy birthday, Julie.
Oh, thank you.
Happy birthday to you. Woo.